Hey, this is Dr. Mort Orman, and I want to talk to you today about a really important topic. And that topic has to do with how we get programmed to think in certain ways, behave in certain ways. And it happens from the time we are very young and it continues throughout our entire lives. And the fact that we live in a culture, we associate with other people, we have sources of information that come to us, and we have our own ability to create ideas and things like that. A lot of these ideas end up getting programmed into our bodies, into our minds and into our bodies. And they kind of take on a life of their own when this happens. And they get triggered automatically when certain events happen. And the ideas may have been very useful at one point in our life, but may not be all that useful now. But it doesn't matter because they get stuck in our bodies. And this concept and this principle is so important and so fundamental to life as a human being, and also to why we end up having lots of stress, different types of stress, that I really want to spend the whole week on it. And the way I want to do that is by sharing with you this book called Virus of the Mind that was published about 20 years ago by Richard Brody. And if you don't know about this book, it's an interesting read. It's got a lot of good information in it, and it really creates a metaphor that's very useful, a way of thinking about how ideas get circulated among human beings in different communities and cultures. It really, these ideas actually behave as if they're almost like actual viruses that we get infected with, because our bodies do get infected with ideas. And so he's talking about a concept, something called the mem, which is really just a term for an idea that gets circulated in a society and gets implanted in people's brains and people's bodies. And it has certain powers that to have us think in certain ways and behave in certain ways. So I'm going to be sharing with you some of the concepts and principles that Richard Brody talks about in this book. Interestingly enough, if you didn't know, Richard Brody is the gentleman who created Microsoft Word. So I think he knows something about ideas. But then he went on and has written a couple this and another self-help book, and became sort of a self-help guru. And so I think this is a very valuable book. It's a good read if you haven't read it. But I'm going to share some things in this book with you this week. I'm on my way to Arizona for tomorrow for the better part of the week. But I'm going to take this with me, and each video that I shoot this week, I'm going to talk about a different idea or principle that he talks about in his book. In fact, the thing I'll share with you today is that right in the beginning of this book, he has a warning. And let me see if I get to see if you can see it here. He has a warning statement. And the warning statement reads, "This book contains a live mind virus. Do not read further unless you're willing to be infected. The infection may affect the way you think in subtle or not so subtle ways, or even turn your current worldview inside out." So he's basically saying that what he's trying to do with this book is to create a mind virus about mind viruses that get stuck in our consciousness and get stuck in our body, so that we are thinking in terms of ideas being spread like viruses. And he even says it right in the beginning. That's what he's trying to do with this book, to intentionally create a virus. And he speaks about that later on in the book, that you can intentionally generate ideas and try to get them to spread, or they can spread on their own kind of organically, and things that's been going on for all of human civilization. So that's all I wanted to tell you about today, and you can look forward to the rest of my videos this week, where I'll be sharing different parts of this book for you. And if you get a chance to read it, if you haven't already done so, by all means pick it up. Talk to you next time.